Yep. Let me make sure we live. I say. Yep. Make sure we good. Let me make sure we good. Okay, I hear me. I hear me. We good. We good. We good. I say we good. What they do? I say what they do. What they do, YouTube? What they do, boxing fans? It is your host, King David. Welcome to Talk Your Shit Boxing, episode 9. And you on the realest motherfucking boxing channel there is, Box or Die. One more time. I say box or die. You on the realest motherfucking boxing channel there is. If you haven't, make sure you motherfucking like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let your friends in the highways and the byways know we talk that shit. But we here. We here, man. We here to talk some good old boxing shit, man. We here. We here. It's a good day for Terence Crawford's fans, man. It's a good day for T-Bud fans out here, man. It really, 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 really is. Let me see if anybody in the building. My boy G Parker in the building. What's going on, my guy? G Parker in the building. What's going on, my guy? Yes, sir. We about to cook in this motherfucker today. You already know how it is. You already know how it is. Yes, sir. But we are in the building. We're going to talk some boxing. And like I said before, it's a good day for T-Bud fans, man. A real good day for T-Bud fans. And also, it seems like we have Earl and Ugas. It seems like we have that kind of in stone now. That's looking like more and more of a done deal. Now, of course, we can't really believe shit because all this boxing news that we get, fight done, terms agreed, all this shit, we can't really believe shit. AJ and Fury has been done for the last 2-3 years. AJ and Fury has been done for a while now. We haven't gotten a fight announcement. We haven't gotten a date. We haven't gotten shit. You know what I mean? G Parker says your boy is doing this thing. Your boy in this thing. I hear you. I hear you. We rolling out here. Yes, sir. We are rolling. Yes, sir. We are indeed rolling. Yes, sir. But y'all see the motherfucking thumbnail. Y'all see the title of the video, man. We talking big fights, man. Big fights. Big fights. And then later on, we're going to be talking about the middleweight division, man, because some real shady suspect shit going on at middleweight right now. We're gonna talk about that shit, man. But let's set the stage, man. Let's set the stage. Bob Arum did an interview with Barbershop Conversations. And Barbershop was asking him, you know, what was next for Terence Crawford. And Bob Arum announced that Terence Crawford next fight would be a big fight, a big money fight, just a big fight in general. And it would be on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? He said that this fight would be on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? Which really is a big deal because we heard Bob Arum complaining about how he's losing money with Terence Crawford. So for him to complain like that and then turn around and put his next fight on pay-per-view, he must be pretty happy with whatever the return on investment is going to be for this next fight. He must feel pretty good about the numbers for this fight. You know what I'm saying? In order for him to put it on pay-per-view, especially when he said that he's losing money on Bud Crawford fights. You know what I'm saying? So beyond that initial idea that I came, beyond that ideology, you know what I'm saying? According to some sources, You know what I'm saying? This don't really mean shit to me, but I'm just talking to y'all because, you know, I listen to fucking, you know what I mean? I listen to the same shit y'all listen to. According to certain sources, Pacquiao and Crawford is actually a done deal, and it's actually going down June 7th in Abu Dhabi in the Middle East. According to sources, that is the fight. According to sources, that is the fight. Now, I mean, it makes sense in my mind that this would be the fight that would be done, but I'm not 100% sold on it simply just because of the fact that we don't know what to believe anymore as boxing fans, man. The boxing news is all over the place. The content creators and people out here putting out videos, man, I feel like, you know, either they make shit up or they don't follow up on sources. They get certain sources and they don't verify the sources and they just report whatever the fuck they hear. And now we have a excess of videos coming out where fight is done deal, going down on this day, going down on that day. It's like, yo, you shouldn't report everything you hear. You know what I'm saying? That's why I kind of like channels like DONTAE'S Boxing Nation a little bit, because at least Dante wait a little bit longer to report boxing news. You know what I'm saying? He waits until things are a little bit more like set in stone before he actually starts putting out videos, pumping out videos. Or at least if he's not sure, he'll say like, yo, I'm not sure, this is a rumor, which is what you should do. But a lot of these dudes, man, they just come out and they just report that the fight is done and it's going down on this date and going down on that date. And then we don't get no fight announcement. So some, you know, catch goddamn 22. Catch goddamn 22. So here's the thing, man. No matter what the situation is, whether he's fighting Pacquiao or, in this case, the other two options are Thurman and Porter, whether he's fighting Pacquiao, Sean Porter, or Keith Thurman, I think we all can agree that Bud Crawford is in a pretty good situation right now. This is a pretty good situation for Bud Crawford because it sounds like he has a plan A, B, and C, goddamn. Bud Crawford sounds like he got a plan A, B, and C, and they all work out very favorably right now. You know what I'm saying? For more than one reason. And we're going to talk about each one of those fights tonight. We're going to talk about each one of those fights tonight. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about plan A. We're going to talk about plan A, B, and we're going to talk about plan C, goddamn. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about these fights because, you know, all of them could be options. As we know, like I said, the Pacquiao fight, it sounds like it's a done deal, but all of them could be options. And, you know, we're in a good place. We're in a real good place. So one thing I find funny, man, one thing I find extremely funny is with this news coming out, a lot of the other channels and shit like that out there, man, you hear them still trying to trash the options one way or another. You know what I'm saying? You know, they still try to like trash the options. It's like, yo, man, these are really good options. This puts Bud in a very good situation. You know what I'm saying? You know, because, you know, you got those people out there who always go, well, Bud ain't fighting nobody. Bud ain't fighting nobody. But it's like, okay, Bud ain't fighting nobody. And now he has a big fight coming up with either Sean Porter, Pacquiao, or Keith Thurman. But you still somehow have a problem. Like, why y'all so pressed? Why are some of y'all boxing fans so pressed? Y'all have a lot of these dudes have officially just become Bud haters at this particular point in time. Because you tell the man he ain't got no resume, and then the man turn around and secure a big fight, whether that be with Pacquiao, Porter, or Thurman. He secures a big fight. But a lot of y'all still got a problem. What the fuck going on? And my boy G Parker says, if both get past these opponents, it's time for it to happen. Can't take no other fight. Facts, G Parker. The fight needs to happen, man. And we're gonna talk about that too. We're gonna talk about that too, because just the way that these fights are being positioned, it sets up that fight perfectly. Terence Crawford coming off of a Manny Pacquiao win, especially if it's a devastating win over Manny Pacquiao, and Errol Spence getting a win over Ugas, collecting that third belt, and that fight being for undisputed, it sets it up perfectly. It sets it up perfectly. In a perfect world, that's exactly what would happen. In a perfect world, that's exactly what would happen. You know what I'm saying? But I can't get my head around like all the dudes that still find ways to find issues with these options. Like it's a big fight. You know what I'm saying? Get off your goddamn high horse. This is a big fight, regardless of how you slice it, regardless of who he fights. You say you want him to fight somebody, he's gonna fight somebody. He's gonna fight somebody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So I think at the end of the day, though, Manny Pacquiao and Sean Porter to me are probably the most likely options for Terence Crawford at this particular point. I see it being one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Keith Thurman could definitely be an option, but I see it more as those guys. If you pay attention to that interview that Bob Arum did, he said that it was going to be a a big fight, and then he said it was going to be like a fight like no other. You know what I'm saying? He said it wasn't just going to be no regular old fight. You know what I mean? So, like, for him to say it ain't going to be no regular old fight, and it's going to be on pay-per-view, and he sounds confident about putting it on pay-per-view, to me, all signs kind of point to Manny Pacquiao. That said, both Sean Porter and Keith Thurman could also be on pay-per-view as well and do pretty good numbers on top of that. You know? But in my mind, the logic more leans to Manny Pacquiao just based on the circumstances. I mean, the reports are one thing, but just logically, I'm just looking at this like Manny Pacquiao more than likely is the guy that Terence Crawford is going to be facing. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it looks good. I really like this fight for Bud at this particular point in his career. You know what I'm saying? But Manny Pacquiao is definitely looking like the guy, man. Manny Pacquiao is most definitely looking like the guy. You know what I'm saying? That said, anything, if he's putting it, like I said before, if he's putting it on pay-per-view, it's big news. I mean, it's a big fight. You know what I'm saying? My boy G Parker says, I believe the pressure is on Bud. He had to stop Manny. Well, I believe he probably is going to stop Manny, but if he just beats Manny, I think that's good too. If he just beats Manny, I think that's good too. It needs to be like a unanimous decision. It can't be no split decision or nothing like that. Well, actually, honestly, think about it like this. If it was a close decision and he ended up winning a close split decision or something like that, and they did a second fight, you know what I'm saying? That wouldn't be bad for Bud either. I mean, that wouldn't exactly set it up for the Earl Spence, the Earl fight that we all want, but at the end of the day, it would be an ideal situation for Bud getting two fights with Manny Pacquiao. But I think at this particular point in time, I think Bud is head and shoulders above Pacquiao at this particular point. I feel like he's gonna dominate the fight and he's gonna end up stopping Pacquiao if that fight happens. But you can't put nothing past an old legend, man. I thought that Keith Thurman was gonna beat Manny Pacquiao. I really thought that. You know what I mean? And Manny Pacquiao proved the whole thing wrong. Manny Pacquiao ended up coming into the situation and doing very well in the Keith Thurman fight. You know what I mean? So, you definitely can't count Manny Pacquiao out in no type of form or fashion. And then one thing about Bud is Bud likes to fight. So does Pacquiao. So one thing I worry about with Pacquiao is Bud kind of getting into a slug fest with Pacquiao. I don't think that would be good for Bud, because I think that's more of Pacquiao's kind of fight. You know what I'm saying? Just with the kind of punches that he throws a lot of short, straight punches. So Pacquiao can quickly hurt you and stop you real fast. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's gonna happen, but it is a possibility. You know what I'm saying? G Parker says, I don't. They'll give him a decision. I don't think they'll give him a decision if it's a close decision. Yeah, man, that sounds about right, man. I don't know that they give him the close decision against a Pacquiao, but it's also possible. I mean, Bob Arum's behind the scenes. I'm sure they got a lot of money saying that Crawford is gonna win going into this, because he's gonna be favored going into the fight. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of people are gonna be expecting him to lose. So for that reason, I would see the odds kind of stacked more in Crawford's favor, because for me, Pacquiao, if he loses, it doesn't damage his reputation at all. At the end of the day, he stepped into the ring against a top pound for pound #1 fighter. You know what I'm saying? He in the ring against a pound for pound #1 fighter. So if he goes in there and even holds his own for 12 rounds, that's a win for Pacquiao, really. That's a win for Pacquiao. He came up $40 million. He looked good against one of the best in the world, or the best in the world. You know what I'm saying? And he can retire or go about his business or do whatever he want to do afterwards. Maybe he want to fight Crawford again in the second fight, which I'm sure Crawford wouldn't mind obliging him, especially if it's a close fight. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at with that. You know. And here's the thing about this fight, right? Here's the thing about it, right? To me, in my eyes right now, at this particular point, if Bud Crawford beats Manny Pacquiao, he becomes the man at the division. He really does. He becomes the guy at the division. Technically, on paper, he does. Earl has the belt, but at the end of the day, Earl got the belts from Sean Porter, had that WBC, but Sean Porter picked up that WBC from Keith Thurman after he vacated, or after he got stripped or vacated, however you want to put the shit. After Keith Thurman lost that belt, okay, Sean Porter picked it up. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Keith Thurman lost to Manny Pacquiao, so that should really be Pacquiao's belt. You know what I'm saying? That should really be Pacquiao's belt. You know? So Pacquiao is really the man at welterweight at the end of the day. Nobody has dethroned Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? My guy Tyrone Spencer in the building. What's going on, my guy? Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Be much appreciated, my guy. Let me read what you said. You said, I'm an older guy, so my perception of boxing is a little different. I can't give Bud much respect for fighting an old man. The Porter fight is the fight I want to see. Tyrone Spencer also says, but Manny fight will help his negotiations with Spence, so I understand it. It's definitely a strategic move, Tyrone. It's definitely a strategic move for sure for Bud. You know what I'm saying? But I think we got to give it more credit than an old man, because that old man beat Keith Thurman. That old man beat Keith Thurman. Nobody was calling him old when he beat Keith Thurman. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't want to fall into the old man thing. I feel like that's a way for people to kind of take credit away from from Bud if he gets the win. I don't even want to hear the old man talk because really nobody has dethroned Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is the man at the division. It's Manny Pacquiao. Then you could probably say Earl. Then Terence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? As far as the guys at welterweight. So if Terence Crawford beats Manny Pacquiao, which we all think that he's gonna do, Terence Crawford becomes the man at the division. My guy G Parker says, question is, do you think Crawford and Spence would be bigger than Manny and Spence? Interesting question. Interesting question. I think probably, I feel like it'll be about even, honestly. I feel like it'll be about even. And we're really going to see, you know what, G Parker, we're really going to, this number stuff that a lot of people like to say, like the numbers games that people like to play, we're really going to see like what that looks like really soon. Because Spence is going to get in the ring with Ugas. And I feel like they're going to make that pay-per-view. If they don't make that pay-per-view, it'll be very interesting because that'll be kind of like admitting defeat. But if they make that pay-per-view, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of numbers a Ugas Spence pay-per-view does. And it's going to be also equally interesting to see what kind of numbers a Pacquiao Crawford pay-per-view does. Because the thing about it is Crawford's pay-per-views, a lot of them flop because of the fact that who his opponents are. If you look at Amir Khan isn't a household name in the United States. Amir Khan is a overseas fighter. He's a guy that's popular overseas. So for him to come over here and do pay-per-view numbers, you know what I'm saying? It's not very likely. So an Amir Khan fight isn't going to do that well. Same thing with Kell Brook. Kell Brook is an overseas fighter. Anybody who follows the sport, you're going to know who Amir Khan, you're going to know who Kell Brook is. But they're definitely not going to be people that casuals are going to know. You know what I'm saying? And based on how the fight is perceived by the boxing public, it doesn't even come off like a very competitive fight. So those pay-per-views wouldn't do well. You know what I'm saying? But for Terence Crawford to get in the ring versus a Manny Pacquiao or Sean Porter or Keith Thurman, I feel like the numbers are going to look very comparable to what Earl's numbers would look like against those opponents. And for Earl, in his case, it should be very interesting because for Earl's going to fight Ugas. So what are his numbers going to look like fighting Ugas? What are Earl's numbers going to look like fighting Ugas is what I want to know. Because if those numbers flop, then Earl's not the big star that a lot of these dudes are making it seem to be. First of all, I already know that for a fact that he's not the big star that a lot of dudes make him seem to be. I already know that for a fact. But even the status that he's given at this point, because a lot of the people who support Earl heavily, they like to, oh man, he did 350 pay-per-view buys. He did this with Danny. He did this with Mikey. Well, if he goes in here with Ugas and he does 150, if he does under 200,000, I think that deflates a lot of y'all argument, a lot of the Earl people's arguments for him being this big star that a lot of people make him seem to be. A lot of that argument is going to be deflated. You know what I'm saying? Tyrone Spencer says he beat him without VADA testing. That's true. That's true. Very, very, very true. But he still beat him. You know what I'm saying? And do we know if there's going to be VADA testing in this fight? We don't really know. We don't really know what the details are. Because if there is VADA testing, then that might be something that we could talk about. The fact that he Thurman without VADA. But if there's no VADA on this one, on this fight, then that's just that's kind of a moot point. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be under the same type of circumstances. Granted, you got an older Pacquiao, but Pacquiao hasn't really aged really much as far as like, the way he fights and that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think the other thing, man, that need to be mentioned, like we got a new guy in the building, man. Sonny, what's going on, my guy? I never seen you live before. First time. Just videos. Appreciate the true words by my G's. Yes, sir. I appreciate the support, Sony. I appreciate that, my guy. Yeah, man. I'm live every Tuesday and every Friday, my guy. So I hope I see you then, whenever. But we gonna be cooking tonight. Best to believe we're gonna be cooking tonight, my guy. So feel free to chime in whenever you see fit. But yes, sir. Back on point. I think one thing that a lot of people are going to immediately discredit Bud for, you know, and just like my guy Tyrone said, they're gonna call Manny old. They're gonna say this about him. They're gonna say he ain't got no belt. But at the end of the day, a Manny Pacquiao fight, it brings those key elements to what Bud Crawford really needs in his career in order to take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? He brings that credibility. He brings that money. He brings that those accolades to the table. You know? He brings that fanfare, man. The more eyes that are on him, you know what I'm saying? We need these dudes like Bud Crawford need the stage. They need that big stage so they can shine. It's going to be very interesting to see Bud if this fight happens. It's going to be very interesting to see Bud under the big lights, like the big lights. You know what I'm saying? I feel like fighters really perform differently under those big lights, those Mayweather lights. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much of a transition it'll be from what Bud normally gets down on, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like it will be different. And it's just going to be very interesting to see how that happens. My guy Sony says, I hear you and agree with Manny being the man. And in my opinion, Earl is overhyped numbers. Ain't got a shot to do them. Ain't got a shot to do them hands. I hear you, my guy. Yes, sir. Unfortunately, Earl is overhyped, man. A lot of his fans are fanboys, you know what I'm saying? So they really overhype his accomplishments. At the end of the day, Earl is a guy who's really kind of just getting his career started, in my opinion. He's really kind of a guy that's just kind of getting off his feet. You know, he unified a division, but this is his first division that he's won a belt in. You know, he's going to get a belt from Ugas, but really Ugas is just a title holder. He has another guy in the division in Terence Crawford that he's, man, to be real, been avoiding up until now. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, when Earl get this third, Earl put out a little tweet talking about, oh, when I get this third belt, we're going to see who holding up what. But really that kind of indicates that you've been holding things up until now. You know what I'm saying? Really what you saying is, I've been holding things up until now, but once I get this third belt, I might actually try to make the fight happen. But really, I've been holding things up. That's really what that means. You know what I'm saying? When you interpret that tweet the way how it's supposed to be interpreted. You feel me? But yeah, man. It's just gonna be an interesting time because the Earl people are gonna try to discredit everything that Terence Crawford does at this point. Terence Crawford got a big fight. It's gonna be on pay-per-view. Oh, well, you just hear the haters just kind of you hear their voices in the background, just hating hard as fuck on Bud right now. Oh, well, you know, what if he lose to Pacquiao? Now y'all putting out what if he lose to Pacquiao? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, whoever Bud fights in this next fight, whoever he fights, whether it be Sean, whether it be Keith, whether it be Pacquiao, all of those fights make him the guy with the stronger resume at welterweight. All of those fights gives Bud the stronger resume at welterweight, period. All of them. Sony says, I personally lost respect since the Mikey Garcia fight, then ducked Bud for years. Facts. He did. He really did, man. You know, honestly, man, now that I think about it, if you go back to my old videos, man, I was actually talking about this for a while because Earl never seemed interested in a Terence Crawford fight, even from like way back. Terence Crawford did a video where he was talking about he was calling out Earl from back in 140, and I remember that. I remember when Terence was calling out Earl back when he was at 140, and I remember him like, you know what I mean, like trying to make the fight, like okay with moving up in weight in order to fight either Earl or Keith. I remember those interviews. I remember those conversations. You know what I'm saying? And I remember Earl not ever being interested in the Terence Crawford fight. Now, a lot of the Earl people are going to say, well, why would Earl be looking or thinking about a guy that's in a lower weight division? A lot of the Earl people are going to say that. But guess what? By you saying that, you kind of setting yourself the fuck up. You setting yourself all the way the fuck up, because guess what? He fought Mikey Garcia. And what's his reasoning for fighting Mikey Garcia? Oh, Mikey Garcia called me out. Mikey Garcia called me out. So I fought him. But Terence Crawford called you out at 140. Why wasn't that a priority for you? You know what I'm saying? Mikey Garcia is a priority for you at 135. You saw him, you heard him calling you out, but you didn't hear Terence Crawford calling you out at 140. And see, this is where the Earl argument falls apart in a lot of different ways. You know what I'm saying? That's where it falls apart. My guy Len O says Bud is fed up now. He's ducking Earl. Absolutely. Oh, wait, hold on. Now he's ducking Earl. Hold on, bro. Hold on. I got to reel that back. Shit, I read the first part of it and everything sounded good. Then it just went downhill. No, sir. No, sir, man. Ain't no ducks going on here. Ain't no ducks going on here. If I'm Terence Crawford, more than anything, if I'm presented with an opportunity to fight Earl Spence and it feels legit, it feels like Earl Spence really wants to fight, and I'm sure this is what's going through his head. If I feel serious, if I feel that Earl Spence is serious about trying to make a fight, I'm pretty sure Bud takes it. But Bud is not going to try to make a fight with somebody who don't want to make a fight. He done doing that. He done going after Earl. He's done bringing up Earl Spence's name. He's done showing up at Earl Spence fights, not getting no attention, not getting no recognition. He's done doing all that shit. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Like I said in the last live I did. How long should you chase somebody that don't want to fight? How long should you chase somebody that don't want to fight? After a while, you start feeling like a bully. You start feeling like the bad guy, like you chasing around a guy who don't want to fight. Like, dude got his hands up in the air and his head down. How long you supposed to entertain that bullshit? Before you realizing you losing years off of your career, you getting older, and there's other fights you could be pursuing, and there's other things that you could be doing. You know what I'm saying? Tyrone Spencer said Bud never called out at 140. He called out Keith. That's not true. He called out Earl Spence. When Earl Spence got that IBF belt, Bud was all over that. Bud was like, I want to move up. I want to fight the champions. I want to fight Earl Spence. I want to fight Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was definitely his top priority, but he definitely wanted to fight Earl. As soon as Earl got that belt, Terence Crawford wanted to fight him. From the moment that Earl got that belt, Terence was calling him out. As a matter of fact, Terence was calling out all the top guys at welterweight when he was at 140. You know what I'm saying? Sony says Mikey's used Mikey's PPV numbers, gave 50-50 with no belt, 135, just like 130, just like Bud 135 pounds. Absolutely. But you know, you go to the other channels and you go to the other videos, and they ain't gonna tell you that. They're not gonna mention that. They're gonna say, oh, well, Bud saying he was calling Earl out at 140. But why would you call Earl out at 140? Why is he supposed to fight somebody at 140? But you fought Mikey Garcia. You fought a 135 pounder, and Bud was a 135 pounder, just like my guy Sony just explained. So it's okay for you to fight Mikey, but it's not okay for you to fight Bud, somebody who was undisputed in the division when they were coming up. And here's the thing, I did a video like kind of going through the whole thing and shit like that, like the whole little saga of bullshit that Earl kind of like put dude through. But here's the thing that I left out of that video. If you got a guy that's moving up to your division, because we've seen this multiple times. If you got a guy that's moving up to your division that was undisputed in your division, why does that guy need to get a belt in order for you to fight him? Why does that guy have to get a belt in order for you to fight him? Because Mikey Garcia definitely didn't have a belt. Amir Khan, when he moved up to fight Canelo, Amir Khan didn't have a belt. Kell Brook, when he moved up to fight Triple G, Kell Brook didn't have a belt at middleweight. So the belt thing really, in all actuality, was always an excuse. Even the belt thing, even when Earl said, well, he got to get a belt first, that was an excuse. Because this is a guy who's clearly proven at 140 and 135. He was the champion in both divisions. So why does he need to get a belt in order for you to make the fight happen? When you were okay with fighting a 135 pounder who moved up 2 weight divisions with no belt, you were okay with making that fight. But you're not okay with making a Terence Crawford fight. And this is why people have issues with Earl Spence. And my guy G Parker, I know you still in the building, my guy. Much love and respect to you, but we got your guy be kind of tripping with these little things, man. Let's read some more of these comments. Tyrone Spencer says, Max Kellerman said Spence and Terence Crawford said that Keith was the big fish. Keith was the guy. Keith was indeed the guy at welter. Keith had the WBC and the WBA belts. Everybody was calling out Keith Thurman. But Earl had gotten that IBF belt around the same time that Keith unified the division. Around that time that Keith got the WBA and the WBC belt, Earl got his IBF belt off Kell Brook. And from that moment in time, Terence Crawford was calling him out. Terence Crawford was calling him. As soon as Earl got that belt, Terence Crawford wanted that fight. He was calling him out. You know what I'm saying? Mikey called him out. Everybody heard when Mikey called him out, but nobody heard when Terence called him out. You know what I'm saying? My guy Mango Juice 07 says at Sony, Mikey Garcia didn't sell out versus Jesse Vargas. So what you talking about? Okay, y'all having a little discussion over here. My guy Tony Rose in the building. What's going on, Tony? Shout out to you, my guy. If Earl was fighting Manny, they would have to say, they would say that this is a legacy fight for Earl. Oh, if Earl was fighting Manny, they would say this is a legacy fight for Earl. Yeah, they will never give Bud credit. Absolutely. It's funny because Earl has been pushing for the Manny Pacquiao fight about just as hard as Terence Crawford has been pushing for it. So it's crazy when you hear these other dudes say, well, Terence has been chasing Manny Pacquiao for 6 years. So has Earl. So has Earl. Earl's been chasing Manny just as long as Bud Crawford has. Just as long as Bud Crawford has. And along with everybody else at welterweight, everybody has been chasing Manny Pacquiao. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like the video, man. Show your boy some love out here with these lights. But everybody has been trying to fight Manny Pacquiao. So why so much hate at Terence Crawford trying to secure a fight that everybody's been trying to secure for the last 6 years, or however long you want to put it? My guy Mango Juice 07 says, I ain't hearing you explain Mikey's Fame not selling out versus Jesse Vargas. Mikey's Fame not selling out versus Jesse Vargas. Okay, y'all having a discussion over there. But that's facts, Mango. Mikey Garcia, if he was such a big star, Mikey Garcia, the Jesse Vargas fight should have done a lot better. You know what I'm saying? Tyrone Spencer says Bud could have moved up and fought Spence or Porter or Thurman, or Spence or Porter. Thurman was hurt. He went the WBO route. Well, here go the thing, Tyrone. I like that you said that. Tyrone. I'm gonna tell you why I like that you said that, right? What did Earl and Keith tell Bud to do? That's a question for you, Tyrone Spencer. What did Earl and Keith tell Bud to do when he got into the welterweight division? And this goes back to my point. This is why I say these dudes be ducking and dodging. Because he could have went the WBC route. He could have went the WBA route. He could have been the mandatory for those guys. He could have did that. He could have been the mandatory. But both Earl and Keith told Bud that he needed to get a belt first. So what did he do? He got a belt. He went after the belt. That's what he did. But had Keith or Earl not said that, maybe he would have went that WBA or WBC route or IBF route and could have went for that mandatory slot. Maybe he would have did it that way. But this is why I say what I say. This is exactly why I say what I say, because you told that man to do something. He did it. And then you smooth act like you ain't tell him nothing. You smooth act like nothing happened and then give him something else to do. Now you go from, okay, get a belt. He get the belt. Now he got to take the easy route. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You proved my point with that one. So you heard Sony says, so you heard about cows and chickens at Mango Juice. Respect. The boy don't want it. We'll see this, bro. Okay. My boy Knockout Boxing 86 in the building. What's going on with you, my guy? If Bud indeed fighting Pacquiao, Thurman or Porter, hold on, shit moving fast on me now. God damn. If Bud is indeed fighting Pacquiao, Thurman or Porter, he deserves respect. Thank you so much, Knockout. I appreciate that. Can't wait for the announcement. I know you on pins and needles waiting, King David. Facts, man. I really hate the boxing news right now, man, because a lot of these dudes are reporting shit that's just not happening. You know what I mean? A lot of these dudes are going live with these videos and all this old shit, and they're pretty much painting the picture like these fights are done deals. But at the end of the day, we don't have no announcements. We don't have no fight dates. You know what I'm saying? We don't have shit. We just pretty much have these niggas saying terms agreed to. Okay, it's gonna be on this date, it's gonna be on that date. But why don't you lead off? Why don't you put in your title rumor, or why don't you put in your title still not confirmed, or whatever the case is? These niggas pretend like the fight is done, and then come to find out we don't get no fight announcement. But I like the situation with Bud, because Bud has an A, B, and C. He has an A, B, and C. You know what I'm saying? If Pacquiao don't work out, he still got Porter. If Porter don't work out, he can fight Keith. You know what I'm saying? I like all three of those options for Bud. My guy Tyrone says he could have fought them as the undisputed champ. He could have fought them as an undisputed champ. You have to expound on that a little bit more, my guy. My guy Grievous is in the building. Shout out to you, Grievous, man. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button one time for your boy. You know what I'm saying? He says Spence been ducking Crawford for eternity. I agree with you. I agree with you, man. It's been a long time, man. It's been some years, man. It's been some years for sure. Tyrone Spencer says he did not need that belt if he wanted that smoke right away. Well, again, Earl told him, Keith told him that they would fight him if he had a belt. So if I tell you that in order for you to get something, you got to do this, and then you do it, you're going to expect me to produce whatever I promised you. You're going to expect that. It's just a natural thing. This is why Bud is frustrated with all the bullshit, because you telling him, okay, do this, and then we can make it happen. And then I do it, and then we don't make it happen. Now it's something else. You know what I'm saying? Knockout Boxing 86 says at Grievous. Okay, that would be Pacquiao, not Spence. Spence coming off. Spence coming, bro, just like he said he would. Okay. Grievous says, I'm disappointed in Spence. Yeah, man, I think a lot of people are, really. A lot of people are. I know I am. Man, if you go back to my videos from like years ago, and I just started back doing videos again, but I actually started my YouTube channel years back, maybe like 4 years ago. And then I stopped doing videos for like 2 years or whatever, and then I'm just getting back into it. But if you go back to my videos from a few years back, man, when I was earlier, I used to give Spence a lot. Spence used to be my guy. I always liked Bud a little bit better than Spence, but Spence was my guy. You know what I'm saying? I really liked Spence. You know what I'm saying? I liked the energy that he came into the division with. I liked how he was handling these guys easily. I like how he would bring the fight to people. He would cut the ring off real well. You know what I'm saying? Spence was my guy. Grievous also says Spence got a chance to highlight the sport with a fight with Crawford, but he won't turn up. Absolutely. He got a chance to really put some eyes on the sport of boxing, and he ain't really doing that. You know what I'm saying? And people are starting to kind of see that. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to see. I mean, Spence getting ready to fight Ugas. Spence getting ready to fight Ugas. But even though he getting ready to fight Ugas, you know what I'm saying? He put out that tweet saying that we're going to see what happened after this third belt. So we're going to see what Spence do. Because at the end of the day, once Spence fights Ugas, he beats Ugas, Crawford gets past whoever he's going to fight now. Whatever the outcome is, like if they both win their next fight, it's really going to set the stage for these two to come together and make the fight happen. It really is. You know what I'm saying? It's really going to set that table nicely. And there's not really going to be much people for them to fight between the two of them. I say for Spence, for Crawford, he could probably do if he has Pacquiao now, he could probably fight Porter next, and then maybe he could fight Thurman after that. You know what I'm saying? He could probably do something like that. But if he is fighting Pacquiao, right, and the Pacquiao fight does really well, and he stops Pacquiao in dramatic fashion, you know what I'm saying? A real like showstopper type fight. If it does really well like that, you know what I'm saying? And Earl on his side beats Ugas convincingly, and they both look good in their fights. Earl got 3 belts. Now Terence got this Pacquiao win. Now he's kind of on another level as far as stardom and that sort of thing is concerned. And they come together and they make it'll be the perfect situation for them to come together and make that fight happen. I don't have a whole lot of faith that that's what's going to happen, simply because of the history of this whole Earl Spence, Terence Crawford saga. But I cannot stress enough that this is gonna be it sets the stage perfectly. My guy Tyrone Spencer says undisputed champs can move up right away and fight the champ at the higher weight division, meaning TC could have moved up and fought them years ago. He could have moved up and fought them. Yeah, he could have challenged for the belt. He could have challenged for the belt. But at the end of the day, how long have we had guys who are mandatories waiting for fights? You know what I'm saying? How many? Ugas was waiting for a Pacquiao fight. Ugas still ain't get Pacquiao. He's been the WBA regular champion for I don't even know how long. You know what I'm saying? He's been the WBA champion. Charlo was the undisputed. Charlo was the mandatory for Canelo. What did Canelo do? Canelo applied for the franchise belt, moved up weight divisions. So just because you're the mandatory, it doesn't guarantee you a fight. Yeah, you can put yourself in that position, but at the same time, you could still be waiting years. So if you're somebody like Bud Crawford and you're moving up weight divisions, the last thing you want to do is wait years for that kind of fight, especially when you have the opportunity to at least secure a belt on your side. And then on top of that, you have the promise of somebody saying that they going to go ahead and fight you if you get a belt. Both Thurman and Terence Crawford said that. I'm sorry. Both Thurman and Errol Spence said that. You know what I'm saying? My guy Knockout Boxing 86 says, come on, King David, tell the whole story. Spence also told him he getting all the other belts, then coming for Crawford. When he knock on the door, Bud just need to answer. Hey, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, Knockout. He also told Bud to get a belt. That's what we talking about, because we got to go back there. He also told Bud get a belt. Bud got a belt. Then he told Bud the easy route. Bud and Errol did the easy route. Now it's 60-40. Now it's 60-40, 70-30, or whatever I give him. Now I got to get all three belts. The story keeps changing. And it's the problem with Earl. This is the issue with Earl. The story keeps changing. We don't know. We confused. I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? Legitimately, I'm confused. Knockout Boxing also says Tyrone Spencer, that's a WBA mandate. The other sanctioning bodies don't have that rule. Yes. I don't think they all like that, where you can just move up and fight the champion. But they do. I think with the WBC, if you move up, it puts you like in the #1 spot to challenge for the WBC belt. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Tyrone put Knockout Boxing. Thanks for the info. Now I'm corrected. Yeah. Not all the sanctioning bodies are like that. For sure. Sony says at Knockout. Okay. Is God plan, not Spence's plan? Did the accident change anything with their timeline? Facts. But yeah, man, let's talk about some of these fights, though, a little bit, man. Let's talk about some of these fights. Because to me, Pacquiao, if he gets the Pacquiao fight, of course, that would be the most ideal for Bud Crawford. That would be the most ideal situation for Bud Crawford. But if he gets Thurman, that would be amazing too. That would be great for Bud Crawford. It'd be great. It wouldn't be as great as Pacquiao, but it would be great. Because Thurman, other than Pacquiao and Spence, is the most credible guy at welterweight that Terence Crawford could fight. The most credible guy at welterweight. You know what I'm saying? So a win over Thurman would give Terence Crawford the best resume at welterweight. It would give him the best resume at welterweight. Thurman got wins over both the guys, both Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, both Errol Spence's biggest wins. He beat them when they were more in their primes. He beat an undefeated Danny Garcia. It would simply be a better win altogether. You know what I'm saying? So a Keith Thurman win would be that thing that separates, that win that separates resumes at welterweight. Because if we talk about overall resumes, Crawford has the better overall resume, but the resumes at welterweight, Earl does have the better resume at welterweight, but not by much. Not by much. The only thing that separates Earl's resume from Terence's resume, in my opinion, is Sean Porter. That's the only thing that separates their resumes. But back to Keith Thurman. Another thing about the Keith Thurman fight, if that indeed is the fight, a Keith Thurman fight does really good numbers. A Keith Thurman fight looks really good on paper. Really good on paper, because Keith Thurman in his last fight did 500,000 pay-per-view buys. So it wouldn't be a stretch to believe that Terence Crawford and Keith Thurman fight would do 250 pay-per-view buys, considering Keith Thurman and Pacquiao did 500. Keith Thurman and Crawford should be able to do at least half of that. It's a very good situation at the end of the day for Terence Crawford, because he gets a credible win against a credible opponent. He makes good money on top of that. But not only that, he gets a somewhat vulnerable fighter. A fighter that's been off for about 2 years, a fighter that's been battling injuries. You know what I'm saying? A really good situation for Terence Crawford. That said, I stand by this. I've always felt this way, and I stand by it. I feel like Keith Thurman is the toughest opponent for Terence Crawford at welterweight. This version of Keith Thurman, I'm not sure. But the Keith Thurman who fought Danny Garcia and Sean Porter gives Terence Crawford the toughest fight at welterweight. So at very least, with the Keith Thurman and Sean Porter fight, we're looking at a very, very good fucking fight. Stylistically, we're looking at a tough fight for Bud. Okay, and we're looking at a fight that does good numbers and gives Bud very good credibility. But as far as the fight is concerned in itself, the angles and the punching power that in the foot movement that Keith Thurman gives is going to make for a tough night for Bud. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at with that. Let's read some of these comments real quick. See what y'all talking about. Grieve says Crawford versus Spence is long overdue. If it's not in the pipeline soon, scrap. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think I want to see a 35-year-old Bud Crawford fighting a 33-year-old Earl Spence. I don't know if I really want to see that. Man. For real. My guy Knockout Boxing 86 says May and June, Ramirez versus Taylor, Haney, Linares, Lopez, Cambosos. This weekend, we got Herring versus Frampton. Boxing about to turn up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. It's getting real out here, man. Ramirez and Taylor is gonna be a good little scrap. Both Haney and Linares. Those are gonna be some real good scraps, man. I can't wait for those. Those are gonna be some real good fights, man. And here's the thing: like us as boxing fans, we spend a lot of time talking about the fights we don't get, but low key, we kind of getting some real good fights under the table. I'm not as excited about Cambosos and Lopez. I think it'll be a good one. I'm not as excited about that, just given the circumstances. But Taylor and Ramirez is gonna be hot. That's gonna be a hot fight, man. I did a prediction video to Taylor and Ramirez. I got Jose Ramirez winning that fight. So if Jose Ramirez don't win, I'm gonna have to come back on here, man. I'm gonna have to come back on here, do the walk of shame and shit. Apologize to y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I got it as a real close fight, man. It's pretty much a 50-50 fight in my eyes. I got Jose Ramirez outworking Josh Taylor in that one. And then Haney and Linares, I feel like Haney is he's gonna outbox Linares, but I feel like it's gonna be a good fight. I feel like Linares is gonna give Haney a little bit of trouble. His awkwardness and shit like that is gonna give Haney some trouble. And we'll really get to see what Haney really looks like. Lopez and Kambosos, it should be a good fight. It should be a good one. You know, it should be a good one. Herring and Frampton is gonna be a real good one, though, man. Herring and Frampton is gonna be a real good one, man. I can't wait for that one. I got Jamel Herring winning that fight, man. I got Jamel Herring, but I feel like that's maybe like a 60-40 fight. I feel like Carl Frampton really got a good chance of winning that fight. I'm just hoping that with Jamel Herring, he can kind of like, he can use that length, you know what I mean, correctly for long enough and keep Frampton off of him, maintain that distance, you know what I'm saying, and get on that bicycle if he needs to, because Frampton is going to be on his Pacquiao shit, throwing punches and bunches and looking to walk him down. And he can't let Frampton walk him down. That's going to be a good fucking fight, man. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a prediction video to that one. I like that fight. Grievous says Taylor's going to show his class and toughness. He got a lot of toughness that he got to show, man, because Jose Ramirez is a tough motherfucker, man. Jose Ramirez is a tough motherfucker, man. Jose Ramirez outworked and beat up Emir Imam. He has the utmost respect from me from beating up Emir Imam, to the point where I'm not underestimating Jose Ramirez. Because Emir Imam is a good outboxer. He's solid. He ain't perfect, but he's solid. And he got better since the days before in the past. Since he got knocked out a few times, he's gotten a lot better. And Ramirez was able to cut off the ring. Ramirez was able to outwork him, throw punches and land punches in spots, winning exchanges and do things like that. And, you know, he really showed me something in that fight. He really did. He really did, man. Grievous says he'll come through. Grievous says Keith's fire went out a long time ago. You know, a lot of people saying that. But like, where, like, what, like, I don't get where people get that from, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get where people get that from. Like, you say his fire went out a long time ago. What has he done to show you that other than just not being active? You know what I'm saying? But he had injuries, so that's why he wasn't active. But when he was up in the ring with Pacquiao, he put on a good performance versus Pacquiao. The only thing that really caused him to lose the fight was the knockdown. But after he got knocked down, he came back and he fought his ass off. He didn't lay down. He fought his ass off in that Pacquiao fight. You know, and if he wouldn't have got knocked down, he probably would have won that fight. He got hurt again at the end of the fight, but it would have been a much closer fight without that knockdown. You know what I'm saying? Grievous says Crawford too smart for Keith. I think Crawford definitely wins that fight. But again, I think Keith gives him the toughest fight at welterweight, because I feel like Keith Thurman's IQ, I feel like his boxing IQ is much higher than he gets credit for. Keith be making adjustments in there. You know what I'm saying? He be in there doing little things, and he knows boxing. He's a student of the game. He's not one of these dudes who feel like they just know everything. He's constantly learning and absorbing information about the game. So dudes like that are always going to be very smart and always have a very good boxing IQ. You know what I'm saying? So Keith can get in there with anybody on any given day and win. And again, Keith Thurman, in my opinion, is the hardest fight. Is the hardest fight for Keith Thurman for Terence Crawford at welterweight. Keith thinks he's worth. Wait, Keith. Okay, Grievous also says Keith thinks he's worth it. He also says Crawford too. Okay, I already read that. He says you win some, you lose some. Hopefully, you win more than you lose. Absolutely. Hopefully, you win more than you lose, man. Because if you lose more than you win, it might be time to hang it up. Goddamn. Sony says, I got Taylor, plus I want to see Taylor versus T.O. Interesting. Interesting. I think that may be the next fight. But I would really like to see Taylor, T.O. fight Devin Haney next. He needs to get that undisputed, man. He needs to get that out the way before he moves up and try to fight Josh Taylor or anything like that. You got to beat Devin Haney, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing about it, here's the thing a lot of dudes don't get, like, it's not enough getting 3 belts. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough getting 3 belts. You haven't accomplished anything. You need that 4th belt. Get that 4th belt, then go about your business. Whatever you want to do after that is up to you, but you need that 4th belt. And if T.O. moves up and fights Josh Taylor without getting that 4th belt, if he beats Josh Taylor, if Josh Taylor gets the win, let's say Josh Taylor becomes undisputed and he moves up and he beats Josh Taylor and he becomes undisputed. Well, that's a great accomplishment. You were undisputed at 140 pounds. But guess what? You weren't undisputed at 135 pounds. You know what I'm saying? But you could have been. You feel me? You could have been undisputed at 135 pounds. So which one looks better? Being undisputed at just 140 pounds or being undisputed at 135 pounds and 140 pounds? Which is the bigger accomplishment? You know what I'm saying? And that's what dudes like T.O. need to think about. It would be cool, like, you know, if he was to fight Josh Taylor next and he fought Josh Taylor, he beat Josh Taylor and then moved back down and fought Devin Haney. That'd be cool too. Like, maybe he could seize the opportunity because Haney seems like he's gonna be there for a little bit. Haney could probably, after I think for Haney, he'll probably fight. He's gonna fight Linares, and then when he get done with Linares, he's probably gonna fight Lomachenko. So if he beats Linares and Lomachenko, you know, by that time T.O. could be done with Josh Taylor. If he beats Josh Taylor, because he might lose to Josh Taylor. As a matter of fact, there's a good chance he will lose to Josh Taylor. Matter of fact, if that fight happens, I think he loses to Josh Taylor. But if he goes up and he loses to Josh Taylor, or he goes up, let's say he beats Josh Taylor. So if he beats Josh Taylor and then comes back down to 135 and then fights Devin Haney, that would be dope to me. That'd be hella dope if T.O. were to do some shit like that. I would like that. Sony says, Len O says, Bud hurts Keith. He can't take body shots. Well, you know, he's definitely soft to the body, man. He's definitely soft to the body. But we haven't seen Keith take a body shot and then keel over. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen that shit. We haven't seen him keel over. We seen Keith get hurt to the body, but nobody has stopped him to the body. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has stopped him to the body. So it's like, you know, everybody gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? Sony says, how about a reality check at 140 pounds, then come back? But here your grievance says, where does Loma come into this? Well, I guess Loma's trying to fight Devin Haney. I feel like that fight is gonna happen soon. Devin Haney needed somebody to fight right now. You know what I'm saying? He's looking for that fight right now. But I feel like Devin Haney, I feel like Loma they're working on that fight next for September. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they're working on that fight next for September. So I think that's just gonna be the next one. I feel like that's gonna be the next one. And I think that Lomachenko is a really good win for Devin Haney. I feel like he should go after that fight, which he is going after that fight. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see, because we keep hearing different things from Lomachenko. Lomachenko is saying in one end, he's talking about, oh, well, I want to fight with Devin Haney. And then you hear about him the next day talking about how he needs to leave Bob Arum first. And, you know what I mean? All kind of other shit going on with it. Grievous says, Sony says Haney needs 2 more fights anyway. I ain't gonna say he needs 2 more fights, but if he was to jump in there with another dude, you know what I'm saying? If he was to jump in there and fight a few other dudes, and that would be ideal. But I feel like you can go straight in there with T.O. and fight T.O., and that would be dope. You know what I'm saying? Grievous says, I think T.O. should rematch Loma if he beats Kambosos. He should rematch Loma. I've been saying that, you know, but dudes act all butthurt and shit. Like, oh, Loma wasn't gonna give me a rematch. But Loma was a champ. The nigga was he was the reigning champ for a while. Like, the dude deserves a rematch to get his belts back. You know what I'm saying? And it says a lot for you as a guy who took his belts away. It says a lot for you to be able to say, well, look, I beat him once, I beat him again. I have the confidence to be able to step back in the ring with this dude and beat his ass again. I think that says a lot. You know what I'm saying? I don't like how these dudes get in their feelings like, oh, he didn't want to give me his fight. And like, nah, I mean, eventually you got the fight. Just go ahead and, you know, fight the dude again, man. You know what I'm saying? Grievous says Loma versus Haney would be a good fight still. Absolutely. It'd be a great fight. It'd be a chess match. It'd be a high-speed chess match. It'd be a great fight. I look forward to it, man. It'd be a really, really good fight, man. And, you know, I just don't want to see, like, nobody trying to, like, I just don't want Loma to, like, be running and shit, man. Like, if you want to fight Devin, but I don't like all that capping, name calling shit that they be doing these days. Like Billy Joe Saunders, what he did with Demetrius Andre, he was calling his name and shit like that in order to negotiate a fight with Canelo. I don't want to see no goofy ass shit like that. But it would be a good fight, man. It'd be good to see how Devin Haney handled the angles from Lomachenko, the constant pressure from Lomachenko. It would be good to see how Devin Haney would handle that. But honestly, man, Lomachenko has kind of struggled ever since he moved up to 135, man. It's been kind of like a struggle bus, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, we'll see if that fight actually happens. But when it does happen, it's going to be a very interesting fight to watch, that's for sure. But yeah, man, yeah, man, back to Thurman though, man. Back to Thurman and back to Thurman and Terence, man. That'll be a really good fight for Terence Crawford, man, if he was to get in there with Thurman. Honestly, man, like I said before, and I say it again, if Terence Crawford was to beat Keith Thurman, immediately he has better numbers, man. Immediately he has a better resume than Errol Spence. He has the best resume at welterweight division, and that's with the Ugas fight. That's with the Ugas fight. He got the better resume at 147 pounds, period. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody want to say something about that, we can pull up box rec right now, goddamn. You know what I'm saying? So the other option is, of course, Sean Porter. We've been hearing about the Sean Porter fight for a while, man, for blood. We've been hearing about the Sean Porter fight for a while. And the Sean Porter fight is a good fight. The Sean Porter fight is a really good fight. Recently, Sean Porter tested positive for like COVID. So, you know, that fight's a little bit in danger, you know what I'm saying? Of happening. But that makes for a good fight. I like the fact that Sean Porter is trying to make that fight with Bud Crawford. And I also like the fact that Terence Crawford isn't shying away from that fight. I like that. Honestly, man, just like the Keith Thurman fight, the Errol Spence fight does really, I mean, the Sean Porter fight does, it offers Terence Crawford the same kind of opportunities that a Errol Spence fight, or I'm sorry, that a Keith Thurman fight would offer, along with a Manny Pacquiao fight. It gives them the credibility, it gives them the money, it gives them the accolades and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a really good situation. And just like I said earlier, man, with Sean Porter, to me, the only fighter that Earl has, the only credible fighter, or the only plus that Earl has on his resume over Terence Crawford is Sean Porter. So if Terence Crawford was to fight Sean Porter, beat Sean Porter, or even stop Sean Porter, you know what I'm saying? Then right then and there, man, that right then and there will put Earl heads and toes above all else. Let's read some of the comment section. I think T.O. Okay. One time, LOL. I sub. I'm out, bro. Adios, Groovis. Thanks for the sub, my guy. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. At the end of the day, man, the moral of the story is this. The moral of the story is any of these fighters that Bud decides to fight, any of these fighters takes Bud's brand to the next level. You know what I'm saying? After these fights happen, man, I don't want to hear that Bud ain't fight nobody, bro. I don't want to hear Bud ain't fight nobody. I don't want to hear he got a shitty resume. I don't want to hear none of these Earl people come out here, man, talking all this goofy ass shit. I don't want to hear none of that shit, man, no more. Because at the end of the day, he would have proved himself with any of these dudes, man. And, you know, and all these fighters make for a better fight than the Ugas fight at the end of the day, man. All of these fights make for better fights than the Ugas fight. These are all big money fights. These are all pay-per-view fights. These are all fights that are bigger than the Ugas fight. And I just want to see how the Ugas number does, like how Earl Spence versus Ugas. I want to see how those numbers compare to Terence Crawford in any of these fights. And I want to see if a lot of you dudes have the same energy that you have about the 60-40 and all this shit that y'all talking about. Because Earl and Ugas, to me, that ain't even a pay-per-view fight. To me, that ain't even a pay-per-view fight, Earl and Ugas. So if that flop, if that does less than 200,000, and Bud and Sean and Bud and Keith do 300 or 400,000, or Bud and Pacquiao do 500, 600, even 700,000, I think they could do 700,000. Manny and Bud, 700, 800,000. I think he can make it up there like that. But if Terence's next fight does really well and Earl's next fight does really bad, I want to see if a lot of you dudes have the same energy about the 60-40 that y'all got right now. I really want to see how a lot of the Earl people are going to justify that. You know what I'm saying? I really want to see that shit, because now you're going to have Terence, who's done the better numbers overall than Earl. So what's going to be the argument at that point? Is Earl still going to be the pay-per-view star that people claim he's going to be? Is it still going to be that type of situation? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. But let me ask y'all this, man. Anybody who's still in the building, let me ask y'all this. Who looks worse if they lose in their next fight? If Earl loses to Ugas and Bud loses to Pacquiao, or loses to Sean Porter, or loses to Keith Thurman, who looks worse? I already know that the Terence Crawford haters are going to hate on Earl, but like real boxing fans who out there who really follow the sport and shit like that, who looks worse? Does Earl look worse? Or does Terence look worse if they lose in their next fight? I'm gonna say off the rip that Earl looks worse, simply because he's been ducking and dodging Terence all throughout the years. You know what I mean? So if he turns around and he ends up losing to you, then it's Ugas. It's really gonna look bad because you taking it according to his own words. Earl's on the easy route. So if you lose during the easy route, that's just gonna look horrible. Terence Crawford loses to Manny Pacquiao or Keith Thurman. Those are all tough fights. But I think it's gonna be real interesting to see what type of narrative actually happens if something like that was to happen, man. Whoever loses, whatever that would look like. But we about to switch gears, man. We about to switch gears all together, man. We about to switch gears all together. We about to switch gears all together, man. Let's talk some middleweights, man. Let's go to the middleweight division. Let's go to the middleweight division. So earlier today, man, I saw an interview for Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade did an interview with Brian Custer on the Last Stand podcast. Demetrius Andrade did an interview, and in the interview, Demetrius Andrade said that Jaime Munguia is the #1 contender for his WBO belt. So Jaime Munguia, instead of fighting Demetrius Andrade, he opted out of the fight with Andrade, and Munguia and Liam Williams stepped up to actually make the fight happen. So Liam Williams, I'm thinking, is like ranked third or second, and Jaime Munguia is ranked like first. So Jaime Munguia chose not to fight Andrade, and Liam Williams stepped up in order to make the fight. So I just want to say, first and foremost, I respect Liam Williams for actually stepping up to take the Andrade fight, because that's a tough fight, man. That's a tough fight for anybody. You know what I'm saying? But Jaime Munguia, what kind of pussy shit is that? If you Jaime Munguia, that would have been such a good fucking fight too. Munguia and Andrade. That would have been such a good fucking fight, man. But that's a whole new level of duck, man. That's that fucking Ryan Garcia duck. Ryan Garcia is first in line for the for that WBO belt. I'm sorry. Devin Haney's WBC belt. But instead of fighting Devin Haney, he's taking a step back and trying to fight this person over here and this person over here. But wait, you the mandatory for Devin Haney's WBC belt. So what really in the fuck are you doing? You really opting out of a fight for a belt? Where the fuck they do that at? Jaime Munguia? That's crazy talk to me. That's crazy talk. But here's the thing also, man. Here's the thing also, man. And this shit right here definitely needs to be addressed. The fact that Demetrius Andrade offered Jermall Charlo $7 million in order to make the fight happen. So what the fuck is going on with that exactly? So if you're Demetrius Andrade and you offer $7 million, exactly how much money does it cost to get a fight with Jermall Charlo? How is Jermall Charlo in a position where he could turn down $7 million and a chance to unify the division? Now, I knew Jermall Charlo was a little on the duck side, but that takes the cake, goddamn. Really? That's the type of behavior that's killing the sport. But here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. These dudes need to fight. These dudes have no choice at this particular point because they're running out of opponents. There's just nobody else. Jermall Charlo has no more options. He has no more other directions to go. And it sounds like now he might be a little interested in an Andrade fight. But we've seen a lot of cap from a lot of these dudes talking a lot of bullshit and a lot of nothing happening. Len O says weirdos. These dudes really do be weirdos, man. How you turning down a fight or turning down an opportunity to get a belt, to unify in your division? Or if you're Jaime Munguia, how are you fucking turning away from you the mandatory for a belt, but instead of you like getting a chance to fight for the belt, you decide you want to go in another direction? That's some bullshit. That's some real pussy shit right there. Real pussy shit. What is Jamal Charlo gonna do? What is he gonna do? I don't get what he's gonna do. What the fuck is he gonna do? Because there's nothing for him to do. Triple G is not fighting him. And we about to talk about Triple G in a second. Triple G ain't fighting him. Triple G need to just retire or fucking just give up the belt because he ain't doing shit. Triple G is running around here not doing shit. Lynn O says, it's sad we can have a great era, but they don't want to fight. Facts. Facts. Jaime Munguia, how? Like, you don't want a bell? Like, what is that about? Jamal Charlo, who are you going to fight if you're not going to fight Andre? Triple G is not going to fight you. No Triple G, no Canelo. The only way Canelo will even remotely look at Charlo or Andrade at this particular point is if they fight. And that's not me trying to give Canelo any type of like kudos or anything like that, because at the end of the day, Triple G need to fucking fight. I mean, they need to fucking fight Canelo, or Canelo need to fight these dudes. It shouldn't take all this for Canelo to fight these dudes, because it didn't take all that for Canelo to fight Yildirim. It didn't take all that for Canelo to fight Callum Smith or Liam Smith or any of these other dudes. But if you're Jamal Charlo, if you're Demetrius Andrade, and I'm not even talking about it because Demetrius Andrade is trying to fight all these dudes. If you're Jamal Charlo, how long you gonna sit around waiting on fucking Canelo and Triple G? You've been waiting on Canelo and Triple G for like 3-4 years already. That's the part of this shit that I don't get. That's the part of this shit that I really don't get. Jamal Charlo turning down $7 million. It's put up or shut up time for them boys. I don't want to hear shit from Jamal Charlo, man. If he's not fighting somebody like an Andrade or a Triple G next, you need to just shut the fuck up. You need to just shut the fuck up for good, man. Like, for real, for real. Drop your belt if that's the case. If you're not going to fight nobody, then just drop your belt, dog, and move up or do whatever the fuck you're going to do. And that's the thing. Andre about to move up right now to 168 when it's like, yo, he going to go up to 168 and then have the same issues at 168? He going to go up to 168 and then have the same issues at 168? That's crazy. That's wild to me. It's wild. But we're going to end off on this note, man. We're going to end up on this note. I want to talk a little bit about Undisputed, man. I want to talk a little bit about Undisputed. Because a lot of people talk about Undisputed, but I don't feel like a lot of people really have a good perspective on what Undisputed actually means. It's not just a title. Undisputed is not just a title. Say that shit again, bro. Undisputed is not just a title. Undisputed is a privilege. Let me say that shit again, man. Undisputed is not just a title. Undisputed is a privilege. What do I mean when I say that is a privilege? In boxing, as a world-class boxer, there's only two routes that you can go. There's only two directions that you can follow. Only two ways you can go as a championship level boxer. You can either go the money route or you can go the undisputed route. You can either go the money route or you can go the undisputed route. We see guys like Mayweather and guys like Pacquiao take the money route. But here's the thing a lot of people don't understand about those fighters. Earlier in their career, they took the undisputed route. They were never able to become undisputed because they were ducked and dodged by certain fighters. But they took the undisputed route, meaning they went after the best competition that was available. So here's the thing. A lot of these fighters today, they go after the money route, which the problem with the money route is this. The problem with the money route is this. If you go after the money fight, you can never call yourself the best. You can never call yourself the best. Period. The money route will not allow you to be able to call yourself the best. You'll never be undisputed. And undisputed means the best because you're following the money. Dudes like Canelo, well, I'm not even gonna say Canelo's a bad example. Mayweather is the ultimate example of following the money because Mayweather went after the biggest money fights. When you go after the money, you lose out on the opportunity of calling you the best, of calling yourself the best, because you're going after the money. In reality, the money route is the low-hanging fruit route. In reality, the money route is really the easy route. Because the money route doesn't mean you're fighting the best competition. It means you're fighting the biggest name competition. And people think, a lot of fighters think they're doing themselves a service by going the money route, when really they're doing a quick cash grab. You see, there's a big difference between doing a quick cash grab and setting up a business. You know what I'm saying? Len O says Floyd and Pac had names already. Bud and Spence need to fight. Oh, he retracted that. It's sad that they don't want to fight. Yeah. I seen where you were going with that, Len O. I seen where you were going with that. Pacquiao and Manny both went the undisputed route earlier in their careers, meaning fighting the best competition out there and doing everything in their power to become undisputed and be able to have the designation of calling themselves the best. Dudes like Earl and these other dudes out here, these dudes, I'm skipping ahead. They did that earlier in their careers, and then later in their careers, they went the money route. But dudes like Earl and Charlo, these guys are trying to take the money route way too early in their fucking careers at the end of the day. Way too early in their careers are they trying to take the money route. And really, in all actuality, the money route is the easy route. The money route is the low-hanging fruit route. But if you were really smart and you really thought about the future and you really wanted to make the most amount of money, you would go the undisputed route. Why do I say this? Why do I say this? By you being undisputed, you hold all the keys to the division. So when dudes like Terence Crawford and Earl Spence, they have these little disputes over who gets 60-40, 70-30, or whatever they give them. When these little disputes come up, at the end of the day, if either of them were undisputed, they would have no choice but to be able to have to take a lower split or a lower cut or whatever the fuck is going on. G Parker back in the building, man. He says, hey, Wade, I'm back in this thing, fam. Welcome back, my guy. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm about to end off in a second, but I'm ending off with undisputed, man. Because a lot of these dudes don't understand the power that undisputed has. When you're undisputed at a weight division, you hold the keys to the division. If you want somebody to take 60, 40, 70, 30, or whatever you give them, they have no goddamn choice because you got all the belts. And if you can continue to win and win and win and win, think about how long you can make the most amount of money possible. Even if you don't hold on to all of those belts, even if you became undisputed, dropped the belt, and campaigned in the weight division for the next year or so, well, you would still be the guy in that division because you were undisputed. So this is what I mean when I say what I mean. At the end of the day, undisputed fighters hold all the keys to the division. So when I make statements like, when I say shit like, dudes need to give up 50-50 in order to make the fight happen, I say that knowing full well that the goals for the fighters that I'm talking about, their goal is to be undisputed. Look, if you don't give a fuck about undisputed, then you're not worried about giving nobody 50-50 because you're just looking for the next big fight. And I think that's where Earl's at. Earl's talking about fighting Canelo and things like that. That's the money route. You know what I'm saying? But in all actuality, if you cared about undisputed, you would make the necessary sacrifices in order to secure a fight for another belt. You would do what's needed to be done in order to make certain fights happen. Anthony Joshua and Fury are doing it. Fury and Wilder did it. In order to make big fights, big sacrifices are needed, period. So I'm going to end on that note, man. I'm going to go ahead and end this live, man. I thank all y'all, man. Whoever's still in the building, I appreciate y'all for sticking with me this long, man. It's been, what, goddamn, an hour and a half? Shit. Yeah, man. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this motherfucking thing up, man. But if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. You know what I'm saying? We'll be back for late night boxing talk. I'm kind of goddamn sleepy, man. I'm dragging a little bit tonight. But we're back for late night boxing talk, man. And I'll holler at y'all, man. Peace.